Hi, this is Melissa, and you're with me at Libations of Houston, and we're going to make one of our signature drinks today called the Blue Motherfucker. The ingredients are lemonade, Grey Goose, Don Julio, Bacardi rum, Tanqueray gin, and also the blue liqueur, which gives it that signature blue color.
Okay, well, here we are.
Here we are.
This is our very first podcast. I'm calling it the Lola and Robby podcast.
And I'm calling it the Robby and Lola podcast.
So Lola and I met a couple of years ago, actually. I interviewed you. No, I shot videos for you. And then I found out about just part of your story. And I interviewed you for my Resilience channel. And that has been the #1 video on my channel, which is so cool.
Yay.
And then Lola reached out to me and asked if I want to do this podcast just to talk about all sorts of things, which I thought was just really a great idea. So I'm going to add a separate, playlist on my channel.
Awesome.
So I have my Resilience and then I'll have our other stuff.
Yeah, just the fact that Rob has a series on resiliency, that immediately grabbed my attention. So when I saw that, I'm like, no, we have to collaborate and do something together, because most people find it really difficult to interview a therapist. Therapists are the worst people ever to have to interview because they're used to doing the questioning. But you are phenomenal. There's something about the way you are that just brings stuff out of people. So,
Well, thank you so much. That's great. And you were a fun interview. So you are so interesting. That's why it was to me, it was just a great interview. And then, of course, your story is great. Very good. All right, so we were talking about what kind of topics can we talk about, and we talked about two we're going to do one today, and then we'll do one in the next one. I think the one that may be more fun to do, starting off with, is only because I have a girlfriend, you have a husband, we all have friends that are in relationships. I think a good topic is men and women, how we communicate differently, how we see things differently. All right, so let me start off and just tell you one quick example. So I have a girlfriend. There is a song out there, very old. It's called, it's known as a Pina Colada song.
I love that song.
Okay, so we're listening to it for the first time. Now, I've heard it many years ago, but we're in the car listening to it. And just as a quick reminder, the song is just very quick. The guy's in bed reading the paper. His wife is sleeping. He's looking at the personal ads, sees one, and then he answers it, right? And then he meets this woman. It turns out it's his wife. And it has a feel-good because at the end, they both realize husband and wife, but they didn't know
what the other person was needing.
Right.
And for those of you out there who aren't familiar with the personal ads, it's where people would go to meet people before Tinder, Hinge, Match, all of those things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Way before the internet.
Way before the internet.
So that's one way of looking at it. Of course, the other way is, forgive me, but these two people are cheating bastards. I'm like, she's writing an ad. So we listened to it, and my girlfriend says, I like this song, but it just bothers me. The guy is such a creep. I said, the guy? She's like, Rob, his wife is sleeping. Now, we listened to the exact same song. His wife is sleeping, and there he is looking at the personal ads. I said, yeah, but a week prior, he was sleeping, and she was writing to him.
Exactly.
So we have different viewpoints on the same exact song. So again, that goes back to men and women and how we see things differently, and how in a relationship, in any relationship, but especially between a man and a woman, because we think differently.
So full transparency, when I was a young adult, I still loved that song, but thought it was atrocious that these people are out here, writing and trying to hook up and cheating on one another.
Right.
Fast forward 20 some odd years, I have a whole different perspective on it. I was literally driving down the street the other night, and the song came on a station called Yacht Rock Radio.
Yes.
And listening to the words and doing the work that I do, it just reminded me that sometimes people struggle so much to ask for the things that they need in a relationship. So I think communication can be challenging for both men and women, but in listening to the song, they were able to meet up and rediscover one another. To me, that's what the song is about. They're rediscovering what the other person is all about and what the other person wants and needs.
That's true.
We get bogged down in daily life, so we forget about our souls and that longing that goes along with the soul care.
Yeah.
And rediscovering that is an important part of communication.
Yeah, but and I agree, you just said something though, that in a relationship, sometimes it gets very hard. It's difficult to ask what you really want. Why is that? Because I am so in touch with her, or vice versa. But when it comes to saying what bothers us or what we want, for guys, I can speak for guys, but I don't, like, sometimes I'll find out something, I'm like, well, why didn't you just tell me? Mm-hmm. And you get the answer, well, you should know, and I get that, I should know.
But why should you know?
Yes.
And what's wrong with telling someone? But I think scorekeeping gets in the way. Scorekeeping over time interferes with people feeling like they need to advocate for what they want or should be able to. Because in relationships, nobody likes to say it, but we make little marks and then cross out, make little marks, cross out. Somebody's always keeping tally, keeping score of transgressions and wrongdoings. And with that, your rights are revoked.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so what you need or want no longer seems important because you've got all these strikes against you.
Oh, wow, okay. So what does a couple do? So, all right, so a guy thinks that his wife is not paying we talked about this actually a couple of weeks ago. I have a couple of friends, they recently had babies. Mm-hmm. And now their wife is all about the baby. They are too, but not to the extent that their wife is.
Right.
And one guy was telling me, Rob, I come home and it's like, okay, yeah, you're home, but here's the baby, look at the baby. Everything's about the baby. He doesn't know how to tell his wife without sounding like a jerk, babe, what happened? What about me? I love the baby, he's our baby, but he doesn't know how to say it.
Yeah. It's funny that you were just having that discussion with your friends because I have clients that are new parents. They have their first baby and the wife has turned into full-blown mama bear mode. And so she's literally in protective mode and hypervigilant 24/7. Dad, on the other hand, yeah, he's hypervigilant and he's in daddy mode, but he still longs for the connection, the value, and the relationship. And so my advice to him is to consistently affirm his wife and her skills as a new mother on a daily basis and compliment her on what he's seen. He's seen this primal, visceral reaction to this little person that's new to their lives. And I said, glean what's good from that and how it can work for your relationship and tell her all the things that you find really attractive about this new side of her personality. And then on the flip side of that, sort of, sculpt the emotional intimacy that's necessary to make her want to give you her attention.
So, yeah, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be challenging for a lot of guys.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because men, I will say this, men communicate probably more clearly than women. And I know people are going to be surprised to hear that I feel that way. But guys, y'all have a way of just putting it out there and saying what you want and what you need.
That's right.
And of course, y'all feel like that's the simplest, easiest approach.
That's right.
So it's not always as tactful as it needs to be, but y'all do communicate clearly and you stand in it. Men will stand firm in what they say they want and need, while women, on the other hand, we tend to vacillate back and forth between saying, I need and I want this. Oh, but things aren't so bad. It's not that this, and we try to justify. But men stand firm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it comes down also to like sex. My girlfriend said to me, Rob, sex starts way outside the bedroom. See, for guys, we can walk into the bedroom and say, hey, and the girl's like, what? Boom, But for women, it starts outside.
It starts way outside for the vast majority of women. And for the men, not so much. And getting a man to understand that, hey, if you want sex on Wednesday night, that has to start the Saturday before. You have to bring a cheerful countenance to the household. You can't complain about anything. You can't say the chicken's overcooked. You can't, you have to bring like your best self possible. You have to, pick up the shoes in the hallway and do little things, and then just please and thank you. It goes a really, really, really long way.
So you think a lot of guys, and I think women too, but a lot of guys, when you first start dating a woman, you're like a perfect guy.
On it.
Yeah. And then you get so comfortable with the person, like, I don't need to do that for her, which is wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think that also happens the opposite way.
Oh, yeah.
I think when people start to take each other for advantage, they're not taking, what's the saying? You take granted.
Granted, yes.
To people. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of just from my past experience, that is definitely an issue. And then of course there's the arguments. Like if you're having an argument, or if there's something bothering you from a guy's perspective, how do you bring it up to your wife about something? I mean, it could be anything. I'm not even, yeah.
This is what I like to say to people. Have the hard conversations up front before you have to really have the heartbreaking and devastating conversations on the back end. It may be really hard to say to someone, hey, I feel disconnected from you. I'm not getting what I need, and it seems like you don't even try to show me that you desire me, and you're not trying to be desirable to me. That sounds harsh. But that's a better conversation to have than, hey, I met someone and I think I'm in love with this person and I want to leave you.
Wow. That's true.
And so really just being bold enough to speak about your feelings, saying how you really and truly feel, respectfully so, but just being bold and putting it out there, and then feeling through and working through whatever the product is of you making that conversation or that declaration, because that's the hard part.
It is hard. And I think, Lola, on the opposite side of that, because that's great advice for the person who has to say something. But if you're watching this video and your wife or your boyfriend, your partner comes to you with this bold statement, you also have to, because the first thing you do is you get defensive.
Get defensive.
And you get hurt.
Yes, hurt, defensive, all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you have to say to yourself, I'm doing something right in this relationship because this person still values me enough to want to tell me the truth and to want to say, this is where I am, this is where we are. Because oftentimes people are living in two different relationships, and it can be absolutely shocking. One person thinks everything's going along fine, it's good. Now I will say this, Rob, this is where you guys kind of get into some hot water. Men out there, as long as their significant other is coming home, like literally coming home to the place where they both lay their heads down, and if she's talking to you. Now women, we know there are different degrees of talking. A man can be being shunned, but he thinks he's being talked to still, just because you're, good morning, how are you? How was your day? Would you like a piece of pie? He thinks that's conversation. So men are happy. Men will be so happy because they've got their significant other, she's coming home, she's interacting, occasionally she's having sex, he thinks they have a happy life together.
That's right.
Where she is seething and literally has a bag packed and hidden in the closet. So it's so important to try to bridge that gap in communication and get down to what really matters to each of you. Each person's experience is the exact truth. Nobody's lying. Everybody's telling the truth because it's how you experience the person.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
All right, so what should a guy, man, you touched on something that I know I've experienced, I am positive, my friends, guy friends.
Yeah.
What should a guy do if he thinks everything's great? Should he go home and ask his wife? What should he say to his wife? Because how does he know? Because truly, you think everything is great. So how does the guy approach that? Even the guy who's watching this right now who thinks everything is great.
Well, you ask the question, hey, are you happy? And then brace yourself for the true answer.
Wow. And don't get defensive. Seriously, don't get defensive. Because once you get defensive and argumentative, forget about it.
Yes. And no need to get defensive, because you can ask your partner if they're happy or not, and they can say no, but guess what? That's not your fault if they're not happy.
Well, explain that. What do you mean?
You're not responsible for anyone else's happiness. And so that's a part of what drives dysfunction. Wanting things to operate in ways that are inappropriate. If I think my partner is supposed to be responsible for my happiness, that's inappropriate. That's absolutely inappropriate. They can add to that happiness, but I'm responsible for it. So if it's my responsibility, then I should be advocating for what my needs are. I should be working on things that I can specifically control. And what is that? Myself and things in my life, my goals, my expectations. I can control those. So I need to be working on all of that before I come projecting onto my mate that I'm unhappy and this is why. So if you ask your woman if she's happy or not, you can listen, you can affirm her concerns, and then you can say, is there anything I can do to help you? What do you need from me? And I usually tell people, every day in your relationship with your significant other, just ask. Sometimes people don't need anything but to know that somebody cares.
Absolutely. Okay, good.
Yeah, asking, how can I help you? What do you need? Prioritize that person. If you prioritize the relationship and prioritize the person, lots of things can fall into place then.
All right, so I got a question on that. So there's this whole thing where they ask employees, I'm going to come back to a relationship, but they ask employees, what's the number one thing you want at your job? And most people think it's going to be money. And they always say that's way down, not way down, but that's like 6 or 8 on the list.
Yes.
So in a relationship, what is like of all the people you've spoken with over the years, what is like the number one complaint? Is it that I'm not appreciated?
It's that they feel invisible. And it comes out as, you don't appreciate me, or you just ignore me. You do everything to make me feel as if I'm insignificant. It all comes down to feeling seen.
Wow.
Because in the world, we're all just one of the masses out here. And it's not Mayberry, USA anymore, where you go into the grocers, everyone knows your name, and you go to the gas station and someone's going to fill you up and they know your name. We're all so apart and estranged from one another.
Absolutely.
That people just want to be seen. And so to be seen by those that you love and care about the most, that's essential. Saying, hey, I see you, or how was your day, or seems like you're not yourself, what's going on? And really meaning it.
Yeah. Wow, okay. Well, so this is another question. Again, this may be a whole other video, but this is a good question. Because I'm at a restaurant and you see other couples sitting there. Lola, I can't tell you how many times I see a couple sitting there. And a lot of times it looks like it's a first date. I have no idea. But they're both, the guys on the phone.
Don't you love to guess, though, whether or not they're...
Absolutely. And if they're going to work out, we're doing judgment. But absolutely, yeah. But you'll see one person will be on the phone, then the other person's on the phone. And they're both, I'm thinking, man, there's someone right here at the table.
Right here.
Oh, my God.
Right here, and you're missing it. I say, put the phones away. There's nothing so urgent that you can't give another person your undivided attention.
Undivided attention, that's, yeah.
Being seen, it goes back again into being seen. Everyone has the desire to be seen, to be visible. It's like that cartoon, Casper the Friendly Ghost. And Casper just wanted people to be able to see him, know he was a ghost, and accept him as such. And not run away, not do anything, but really just to be seen and loved and known.
That's true. And by the way, Casper, because a lot of people are like, Casper, who the hell is that? That's right. That's so true. It's a cartoon from back in the day.
Back in the day.
All right. So you have any advice for first for guys who are concerned? Again, speaking from the past, you're concerned there's an issue, don't know how to approach your wife. And honestly, sometimes you're afraid of the answer.
Be what I like to call compassionately confrontational in all of your endeavors.
Compassionately confrontational.
Compassionately confrontational. Don't back down from saying, hey, this is what this seems like and feels like. Give me some clarity. Because you deserve clarity. If you're thinking that something's amiss, don't just sit on that. Address it right away, because when you don't address stuff, it festers, and it grows. And then it's put into the vault and then brought out during times of war. I call that going into the time machine. People bring out everything they can think of.
Yes.
And that's a deterrent from having real conversations too, because nobody wants the past thrown in their face constantly.
Right.
So be about moving forward. Moving forward gives people hope. It gives people something to look forward to. And so confront the monsters head on and then work through it together. That's what I like to say.
Yeah. And if your wife, speaking from a guy's point of view, if your wife or girlfriend says something to you that you definitely want to get defensive, you're like, what? There's no way I ever did that. You've got to have an open mind, right? You got to have an open mind and say, okay.
And reconsider. That's what I like to tell people. Always reconsider. Is it possible? Could I? What did I do? Did I really? Yes, reconsider.
Let me ask you real quick. Your feelings about going to bed angry, if two people are arguing, is there a point so is there a point where you say, you know what, let's try and just push this aside and go to sleep? But man, that's hard as hell.
It's hard, but I like to tell people there's no harm in disengaging, saying, hey, we need to table this, things are too heated, let's table it. But I strongly advise against the I'm so mad at you, I can't be near you, you disgust me approach. Get on the couch. You're on the couch. I'm in the guest room or what. No. Don't go to bed that angry. It would have to be something pretty terrible to warrant that. So I like to tell people, be able to work it out. Don't get to the point to where you feel as if you don't want this person near you. Being banished from a bedroom, that's a pretty harsh consequence. It is. And for a lot of people, it can bring up abandonment issues. You know, we hope that everyone is well adjusted and has been well loved the entire course of their lives, but that's not a reality for a vast majority of people. And so just taking into account that you want to treat the person that you're with as the most important person on the face of the earth, well, the most important person on the face of the earth is sitting right in front of you. Are you going to do anything to disparage them, to discourage them, to hurt them? That answer is no. So try to remember that even when you're angry.
That's a good point.
Even when you're angry. And I like to encourage couples, be willing to still sleep in the same bed. And unless there is abuse or violence involved, be willing to still give each other a loving caress or a nurturing touch, just to say, yeah, I'm mad at you, but this isn't the end. This can't break us.
Yeah. All right, Lola, let's talk real quick about romance.
Ooh.
Because guys' idea of romance is, and sometimes this is great stuff, but, you know, flowers, take her out to a nice dinner. And by the way, romance for a guy, and I can't really speak for every guy, but I think guys are pretty simple, and beyond the sex. So my girlfriend made these little things for me, these little...
she's making you stuff.
We went on a date. So this is a great example. We went on a date. This was probably like 2.5 months into the relationship. Went on a date, and she got a phone call about a job. She does makeup and stuff. And man, that phone call went for like 15 minutes. First 5 minutes, I was fine. She may not know this. The next 10 minutes, I'm thinking, man, we're on a date.
Right.
And I know it was for a big project. And after she got the phone, she was kind of upset about the phone call and everything. And I'm thinking, man, you know, this is a date. This date sucks is what I'm thinking.
Right.
All right? And then she goes, hold on, Rob. And then she reaches in a purse and she gives me this, and I open it up, and it's little clothespins, like the old time clothespins.
Yeah.
She painted with little dogs. My dog Reba. She goes, "I made these for you. I know you need something for your fridge to hold notes."
Whoa.
Lola, that completely changed everything.
Everything in that moment made you remember why you're dating her in the first place.
So that to me was probably one of the most romantic things she did. And money-wise, what did it take? Seriously, $5?
Right.
But
So, first of all, shout out to your girlfriend. That is so sweet and insanely romantic. Now, Rob is a fortunate one that he's out here dating a creative. And so, for people that date creatives, you all live in a romantic flurry of things.
wait a minute, creatives, you have to explain that.
People that are good at making things, artists, whether it's music, whether it's graphic design, mixed media, art, makeup, anything that has to be crafted. If you're dating a creative, yeah, you're familiar with romance.
Okay.
They thrive off of romance. So that's a good thing.
Good,
Yeah.
good, excellent.
But I think that's a testament to showing that romance doesn't have to be like what we see on some of my favorite shows, like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Oh, good Lord.
So many Mondays of my life that I cannot get back, but whatever. But romance is just being thoughtful and considerate. And so, like you said, that changed the whole course of that date. It immediately went from being a crap date to like one of the best dates of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so being thoughtful. So same thing with guys. If they can do something for their wife, girlfriend, whatever, what I always try to do over the years is, number one, know her. What is she like? Don't get me wrong, taking her out for a romantic dinner, an expensive dinner, I get that. But it's the little things in between, I think, that make a big difference.
The little things in between. And for women, what that usually looks like is support. And then if you are dating someone that's in the workforce in any capacity, a listening ear. A listening ear with a positive twist. Because sometimes guys want to solve.
Absolutely.
And so they're like, oh, Liz at the office is giving you a hard time. You should do this, and this. No.
That's right.
Just want to vent about old Liz today. Just want to vent. Don't need you to tell me what to do. I might already have a plan, but just listen and agree that she's the devil. And then give me cuddles and snuggles. That's it. Romance is really simple. Romance is just about making a person feel warm and fuzzy at a time when they may feel prickly and out of sorts. That's
Excellent advice. Guys, definitely do not, because I've been yelled at more than once, do not, because you're right, we want to solve. Yeah, definitely don't solve.
Don't
Listen.
solve, because in that moment, it sort of, you don't mean to, because you're really trying to help. But to a lot of women, it undermines their authority, it's undermining their sensibilities, and they're just wanting to share with you, wanting you to be a part of.
Yeah. And I think just so you know, the reason we try and solve, like sometimes you'll hear something and you're thinking, man, you're so much better than this, whoever this person is. And you want to say, just do this, do that.
Yeah.
But
You're so much better than Liz, taking credit for all the hard work you do.
Yeah,
What are you going to do about it? Are you going to take it? But yeah, just reminding her that you're great at what you do. You're essential in my life, because that's what people really want to hear. How essential you are in their lives, the difference that you make in their lives. Because that's the important stuff. The people you come home to, those are the important people.
Yeah. All right, Lola, what about dealing with jealousy? Jealousy that is normal. I'm not talking about crazy jealousy like, no matter what you do, your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, is not something where something's bothering you or why. So, yeah.
So, I'm glad that you made that distinction, Rob, because jealousy in relationships exists, but controlling, obsessive, we're not talking about controlling, obsessive, abusive behavior. That's another conversation for another show. But just jealousy, on some levels, it's healthy. It's healthy to feel as if there may be a little competition for what you have. You know, you've heard the saying, one person's trash is another person's treasure. So it just means keep yourself on your toes. Don't start taking the other person for granted.
Okay.
Don't start taking the other person for granted.
All right, so what do you're a guy, and you're out there working, and you're working with a new person, and she's clearly hot. She's clearly pretty, and your wife, girlfriend, whatever knows it, and she asks you that question, do you think Maria's pretty?
First.
Do you lie? Because I lie.
I usually tell people, don't ask that question. Just don't. Steer away from it. But if you want to venture off into that and ask if, hey, do you think this person is attractive? Do you think, sure, I find them attractive as far as attractive people go. I'm not blind. It's okay. We're human. We see people. We can acknowledge when another person's attractive. Doesn't necessarily mean that you want anything with that person. No, we live in the world. Everyone has eyes, and if you're a seeing person, you see attractive people all the time. And attraction can be really broken down into components and compartmentalized, because what's always physically attractive isn't necessarily emotionally or intellectually attractive, or isn't necessarily interesting. So there are all sorts of things that make up a person.
Yes, but those things you just talked about, not for nothing, those are things that women hit on more. Like, yeah, he's good looking, but he's an idiot. I couldn't be bothered with. Guys don't necessarily see it. So how do you tell your girlfriend?
She can't put two sentences together, but wow, I like what I see. So, well, yeah, but for men, try and broaden your horizons beyond the visual and just say, yeah, she's attractive, but so are you. You have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
That's right. And there truly are good-looking people. There are a lot of bad-looking people, but there are a lot
Lots
of
of
good-looking
good-looking people at every turn. At every turn. Yeah, you see good-looking people all the time.
Yeah, again, that's regular jealousy we're talking about, not the craziness.
Now, what I do caution against, not trying to give guys a hard time here, but you know, I talk to a lot of people every day. So sometimes I'll get men in my office and they have partners that are drop dead everything, drop dead smart, drop dead gorgeous, drop dead everything, but they will compliment. And you may can help me out on this, Rob, because it's just the newness of things. They'll meet someone at work and become sort of infatuated with this new person and thinking that their ideas are great and they're so attractive and their way of thinking is so wonderful. What is that?
I honestly think it comes down to people taking for granted who they're with, and then they see somebody new. It's like, what is it? The grass is always green.
Yeah.
So there's a great meme, and it's an hysterical meme. It's either a beautiful, I've seen it both, a beautiful woman or a beautiful guy, or a good-looking guy, and it says somewhere in this world, someone's sick and tired of his shit, or her shit. Which is true, because you look at this good-looking person, but it doesn't matter. Someone's sick and tired.
Someone is, yeah.
I think people take for granted, and because you're at this work relationship, you have no idea what this person's like to live with.
What they're really like.
Yes.
You're getting a version of them.
Yes. And I think that's what it is. They're seeing this perfect, like a job interview. Someone goes on a job interview and oh man, I'll work extra hours. And then once that person gets a job, they're wondering when's their day off? When the hell am I getting out of here? Can I call in sick?
Yeah.
You know? I think that's what it is. I think people take each other for granted, and then they see somebody else who's attractive, and they're perfect. They're very nice, very polite.
Yeah.
But there may be a monster behind them. Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Do men care about the physical?
What, is that a joke? So that's like number one, and it shouldn't be. It truly is number one in the beginning of the relationship, absolutely. Unless you know the girl at work or you've been around her and you've connected, and now you're like, man, there's something about, because all of us guys have been there. You're like, man, there's something about this girl. Because you'll tell a friend, you're like, dude, she's not that hot, because we'll talk to each other, who's hot? Dude, she's not up there with these other girls, but there's something about her, because you've connected. But if you haven't connected, the first date, especially online dating, that's a whole other conversation, right? It really is physical.
Yeah.
And then you're looking for the other stuff to back up the physical. But the physicals, and if it doesn't back up the physical, we're very forgiving. Like, okay, it doesn't back it up. She's still pretty hot, though, which is terrible.
Now, go into a little bit of what you said when it's just something about that person, that mystique, that enigma, because I've seen that a lot. And men are usually really uncomfortable when that happens because it takes them by surprise, that they become like really into this person that they wouldn't usually give their attention to.
Yes. Yeah, so I think part of that, I remember a couple of years ago, I went out to coffee with this woman, and she was okay looking, but I knew her briefly, and we met for coffee, and we had such a, I don't know if it was electric or what. Man, I was like, I drove home that day and thinking, man, why am I thinking of her? Because if I just look at her, is she my type? I mean, she was a pretty girl, but is she my type?
Right.
No. And I had the same conversation with a friend of mine. I'm like, Mark, this girl is...
There's something about her.
Yeah. So, but as a guy, you feel kind of uncomfortable with that because it's not someone who physically... So guys, okay, this is going to sound terrible. We all want a beautiful woman on our own. We want that. And if she's not the hot woman that, and I'm not speaking for all guys, and I'm not even saying me, but yeah, if she's not physically where the women that we've always talked about, but man, we really like her, it's kind of a weird feeling.
Yeah, I've seen that before because I've seen clients be really challenged and perplexed by that experience.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, well, give into it, lean into it and see what is there to be revealed to you about yourself and what areas need to be stretched, what areas are there to grow, because if the synergy is there and that libido energy is there, go with it.
Yeah.
Let it go, let it flow.
So justify. That's the word. As guys, we try and justify it. Why is this girl not? Why is she doing it to me? And you're trying to justify something that doesn't really need to be justified.
Exactly. And when we talk about things that spark a certain area of the psyche, be it spirit or soul based, we can't analyze it to death. Over analyzing is a way of avoidance. And so instead of over-analyzing and trying to avoid, give into, lean into it, jump into it, and see where it takes you.
Excellent. Excellent. Lola, let's close with this, if you don't mind. And again, we could talk about this. We could do more podcasts about this because men and women, generally speaking, statistical, guy and a girl get into an argument. Doesn't matter what the argument is. Are women right 90% of the time? Because that's what I hear.
No. No one's right 90% of the time. Women...
Ladies, listen up.
Women can be champion arguers. So I say tread lightly because it's hard to get into an argument with a woman that she's not going to win because we're just so good at it. I'm sorry. I consider myself a mild person, but even myself in an argument can make a person wish to never argue again.
We should pull your husband over for a quick cameo. By the way, we are at Libations, a really great, is this a club or you describe it as a club?
It's a bar and lounge. We're at Libations Houston, so we want to thank our wonderful sponsors. Come on out, watch football, host a birthday party, get libated and liberated here at Libations. Have a blue MF.
Incredible drink, by the way.
Incredible drink. Name is very fitting.
Absolutely.
And yeah, join Rob and I for more conversations because we love life. We want to talk about the world. We enjoy each other's company. Rob has joined the ranks of one of the people that really get me. When I'm drawn to people, I just like Just drawn to them. And Rob is one of those people I'm drawn to. He is absolutely wonderful. So glad that I met you,
Wow,
Rob.
I'm so glad I
This
met
is
you.
Incredible.
And you
So
reached out to me about this whole idea, which
yeah.
this is all right. Thank you so much. This is great.
Cheers. And drink responsibly.
There you go.